Yes, it has been a process. It definitely has been a process. And also knowing when to share information and when not.
And what might that be?
Well, if I'm picking up information all the time, I can go anywhere and just look at people and get a whole sense of their life. And sometimes I'll feel guided to actually say something or share something with someone. And other times I won't, and I'll just know that that's just for me to get that information and to send them a prayer instead. If I feel that they're having a particular pain or difficulty, to send prayer and healing.
Right, because if somebody's not really ready or willing to accept information, that's not the best time to give somebody information unless they ask for it.
Exactly.
I guess the good thing is, would you say most of the time if people are coming to you and they're paying you for a session, that they are open to receive what you have to say?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And what does a session with you actually look like? You know, for some people who might not be as familiar, you walk in the door, sit down. What's a session like you
Well,
like?
the sessions are 1 hour long, and I ask the person to spend a little time before their session writing down 12 questions. Any 12 questions that their heart really wants to know. And then when they get there, I talk to them a little bit about what, you know, that I'll be having some music on and that I'll be doing a little prayer to begin, and that it's good for them to go into their heart and ask what is it that they really need to know. Because I do believe that when a person comes for a psychic reading, that they are being guided by their higher self to come to me, because there's lots of psychics out there, and not every psychic is the right one for each person. There's going to be different psychics that work better, just like a certain doctor would work better with a certain person. So I believe that the people that are brought to me are brought there for a reason, and then I say this prayer, and during the prayer what I'm doing is I'm asking to set my personal self aside and any personal agenda I might have and connect with a higher consciousness of love. For me, that comes forth in the form of this council of guides that I work with, 5 guides.
Council of Guides. Yeah, I by the way, I went to Liah yesterday for a session. I wanted to sample what it is she does, and it's a wonderful session. So much of what came through for me personally was right in line with my own intuition, and that's really what you would want, wouldn't it? You would want whatever comes through for you to be something that was an affirmation for what somebody might already know within them. I guess there can be some surprises, but...
Certainly. They're really, in terms of surprises, usually people already have a gut feeling about the information, and they say there's this expression, you don't ask a question until you're ready for the answer. That's why I ask them to come up with those 12 questions, so that they're really ready to hear the answers. And again, I feel like a telephone, that they've just dialed their higher self, and I get to be the vehicle that carries this message forth to them.
And what would you say is the best benefit for somebody developing their intuition? What is it? Why would somebody want to develop their intuition?
So that they can follow their own heart. So that they can put aside all the shoulds that they were taught when they were young about what they should be doing with their life or what they should be feeling or where they should be. And they can listen inside to what's really true for them. And then they can live a life of integrity and truth aligned with themselves.
Right. So the ultimate goal of all of this has to do with really somebody following their own heart, their own intuition. That you're here to support someone, and ultimately for us all to be able to go within ourselves, find our own heart, our own guidance, our own intuition.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I would love for nobody to ever need to go to a psychic, that everyone, and I believe that this has happened before, that everyone has, their intuition is so well developed and the ability to communicate telepathically is so well developed that people just know, there's a knowingness, and they're guided moment by moment to where they need to be and who they need to be connecting with, and all that synchronicity happens.
And that happens a lot by, like you said earlier, quieting the mind, getting quiet, and then trusting your feelings. Those two things at a very basic level are the kind of baseline, getting quiet, trusting your feelings. Would you say that's
I would say the third element of that,
Yes.
this is a very important element, is following through with the guidance you receive. Because many people get lots of guidance, but they don't follow through. And then that's when some of those things happen. Oh, I should have gone that road. Oh, there's a detour. Now I know why I should have gone the other way. You see, they get it, they hear it, but they don't do it. And the difference, I think, in a life that's lived with a feeling of fulfillment is you get the intuition, you feel it, you know it, and you do it.
So even in the realm of, I know that there are times in my life that I can be hearing things from different people. Oh, this. Oh, you should do this, you should do this, you should do that. It's always a matter of coming back and checking in to that place inside and following that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. So tell me, what is the difference between a psychic and a channel? You call yourself a psychic/channel. What's the difference between a psychic and a channel?
Okay. If you were to put scientific instruments on my brain and measure my brain waves, you would probably see a bit of a difference in terms of the waves and how my brain changes when I go into a channeling state. I know how it feels. It feels very, very different than my actual waking normal state. The brain changes and moves much more slowly from that active state into a very, very quiet, receptive state. And a psychic is still able to stay pretty in touch with their body and pretty conscious. Whereas when I do a reading, it feels almost as though I go to another little room in my brain somewhere and step aside and allow this loving energy to come through, which is a much slower frequency and fuller. If anybody's ever been at a birth or a death, the energy in the room for that,
yes,
it's magical. It's you can't really describe it. You'd have to know it.
Yes.
But that's what it feels like for me.
So each time you go into a channeling session, that's what it's like for you.
It's as though time completely stops and there's a fullness in the moment.
And I noticed yesterday that your voice changes.
Yeah,
What's
true.
that about? One voice that came across is this very high-pitched Indian kind of sounding woman, like Eastern Indian.
You know, I asked my guides that. I said, why do I have to have my voice changed to do these sessions? And what they answered to me was that it helps me to know that I'm getting out of the way. And I have 5 guides, and the spokesperson for the group is the last lifetime was in India, and they do talk with a little bit of an accent. And you know, I hope one day to get to India and see what it's really like there.
So was that the spokesperson for the guides who came through for me yesterday then?
Yes.
Oh, so I got the spokesperson.
Yes.
Oh, right. Great. All right. So what's your vision of what you'd like to do, say, you know, the next 5-10 years of your life? It's like, what do you see as your vision?
Thank you for that question.
Yes.
Because I've been a parent for so long, my oldest is 26 and my youngest is 13, in 5 years, that's going to be a very significant change in my life. My children will all be out of the nest. My grandbaby will be 5, going to kindergarten, and I expect I'll be doing some traveling.
Yeah. So where would you like to travel to?
India would be the first place.
Why?
Well, perhaps because this one guide is from there, and because they honor the spiritual aspect of life, and I live so much of my existence in that realm.
Did you have a formal teacher who you mentioned that you started much earlier in your life doing a daily practice, sitting for an hour or whatever? Did you have a teacher, specific teacher?
Yes, and I have actually had many, many spiritual teachers along the way. In particular, I studied with one yogi, Baba Haridas, he's from India and he's in Santa Cruz, California, and he's called a silent monk. And that was so wonderful for me, being that I love to talk so much, to be able to receive this transmission of love and light and wisdom through a much quieter form. But while I was learning to channel, I worked with the Berkeley Psychic Institute. I worked with, studied at Casadega, which is a whole community of psychics. I worked with a couple of private psychics in their homes, tutored and worked. And it just became my passion. I just wanted to learn as much as I could about it and practice. And I think when you're really doing what you love, you just can't help but get enough of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, one thing really was interesting to me, because you spent 12 years in Santa Cruz.
Yes.
Now, I came here from Philadelphia, so to me it's no mistake, you know, that this is an incredible place after Philadelphia. But you were saying to me that even while you were in Santa Cruz, that never really felt like home to you.
No.
Even though it's beautiful, probably one of the beautiful places on the planet. To you, that didn't particularly feel like home, and Maui does feel like home. So what is that for you? Why does Maui, what about Maui just feels like home to you?
Yeah, it's funny because I started in Massachusetts 18 years, and then Florida for many years, 15 or something, and then Santa Cruz, and then here. And I think the difference for me is that I chose this for me, whereas in Santa Cruz I was really there for my children. I felt like the educational system was the kind of system that I wanted them in, the diversity. I was really there more for them than for me, and this was a choice for me.
And you had also mentioned that there is ways that you have for helping parents develop the intuitive, psychic in their children.
Yes.
So talk a little bit about that. What's that about?
Well, I've also taught many, many parenting classes, and
parenting in what respect? In what respect?
Well, in communication, I worked with infant massage, teaching infant massage to parents and bonding and all of that, and I taught older children sort of having fun. It was called Gymboree. Do you know what Gymboree?
Sure.
Yeah, okay, that. And also communication classes. And not necessarily psychic development, except to the people who are parents who come to my classes. That's more where I've taught how to communicate psychically and encourage that development in your children. And again, it comes back to honoring their feelings. It's okay to be angry. Now, what they do with the anger, you want to talk about, but it is okay to have those feelings. Because when children can stay in touch with their emotions, then they know there's a big yes or a big no inside when they're making a choice. And really, the job of parents I see is helping children to listen inside to that little voice, what feels right.
I think that's so important, what you're saying here about honoring the emotions. Because I know for me growing up, as well-intentioned as my parents were, it was just not okay to feel certain things. You know, I imagine that a lot of people experience that, and how affirming that it would be.
I actually felt that also in a yoga community that I was involved in, that to transcend the emotions, to not give them any energy or any attention.
The old spiritual bypass thing.
Right,
Yeah.
to go beyond the emotions. And I do believe that we do get beyond the emotions, but sometimes it's through them. I just wrote an article recently about that, pain as a path to peace, that I haven't had an easy life. You know, I have 4 kids, but I did lose 4 kids, and through those lost 4 babies. Yeah.
You lost 4 babies?
Yeah, and through that experience, it was tremendous pain, and it opened me in a very deep way, and it helped me to develop my trust and my intuition, because like the heart was cracked open.
Oh boy, I understand that. I do. I understand that. So people can also access your radio shows on the internet, is that correct?
Yes.
For free. You just, how do you do that?
Well, you can just go to my website, which is my name, www.liahhoward.com. You go to my website and click on radio, and then you can choose which show you want to listen to. You can also, I have a Mind, Body, Spirit website that you could go to, and that would have the shows listed as well. It's mindbodyspiritmaui.com.
Okay. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Any other things that you want to say before we check out for today? Anything that I didn't go over?
Yes.
Tell me.
I would like to say, because it's an area, psychic development is an area where people have a lot of fear about, and they wonder if it's evil or bad, or they question. And I'd like to just encourage people, if they have questions, to call me and we can talk about it, or if you have fears or concerns, to just give a call and let's talk.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for being so accessible to our community.
Yes.
It's wonderful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show.
You're welcome.
Really appreciate it, and all the best.
Thank you.
Okay. That's it for this episode of Life on Maui. And hope you enjoyed the show and that you'll tune in next time. And until then, have a wonderful time, and aloha.
Call me crazy, but I'm never giving up my dream.